You've heard a lot of talk about data, and data is a big thing coming up. We all have lots and lots of data in our computers, Excel spreadsheets, databases, but we just don't know really what to do with it. So Johan is here to talk about data, really is more of a content type, and how you can really use the data to tell a story and to show users exactly what your department is doing and what you're up to. So I'm going to hand it over to Johan.
My name is Johan Lorman. I'm the solutions architect for Georgia Gov Interactive. My job is to solve problems. Sometimes that means I actually make up problems to solve problems because there are other problems that need to be solved, but that's really what I do. So today we're looking at data visualization and the power of data. It works. I like it. So does anyone know what this number represents? Not you, because you saw my presentation earlier and nobody else on the team. This number is 10 to the 15th power, and it's the world's fastest supercomputer. Happens to live right now in China. IBM is giving it a run for its money. Our brain is faster than 10 to the 15th power, the average brain. So take your average person, no matter who they may be, their brain is faster than the Chinese supercomputer. We're going to play a game here. Actually, we're going to play a couple of games here. I want you all to spot the lion. And just kind of nod your head, make eye contact, raise your hand when you spot a lion. Everybody's seen a lion? Great. Now I want you to pick your lion. Pick which lion. You like that one there? He's kind of sitting by himself. Maybe you like these guys. I'm not sure if that's a lion, but you can call it a lion. This guy over here. So everybody have your lion? You have your lion, great. Now these poor guys, the impalas, they get eaten by everything. It's not fun to be an impala. They are stalked, ridiculously stalked. Now I want you to pick out an impala. Are you this one here? Maybe you're the one up here. Maybe you're part of this herd. Everybody have one? So now I want you, in your mind, remember your lion, remember your impala, and I want you to pretend that you're the lion, and how are you going to stalk the impala? How do you do that? So remember the position of your lion. You chose the impala. How do you get there? Has everyone kind of thought that through? How are you going to work with that? It's much easier to see it this way, isn't it? Instead of having to visualize something in your head, or I'm trying to go from point A to point B, it's a lot easier for me to see if I'm the lion and the impala. It's a lot easier for me to make that connection. That's what data visualization does. It helps us see connections where we can't see things before. This is our brain. I'm not going to read to you. You guys can read. But what I want to emphasize to you is the third one, where you can focus on what's important. The lion in the jungle, here's the birds, here's all the other animals, but is not concerned with them. The lion only cares about his prey. In this case, we're talking about data. The lion only cares about that. And it filters everything else. Our brains are pretty amazing because they can filter out what we want to filter out. Data visualization helps with that as well. The term is filter. Any of you have spent time in an Excel spreadsheet? You love Excel, don't you? Isn't it great? No, nobody does. I saw heads go down. People are ashamed to say I like Excel. I get that. I'm ashamed. I have a Mac and I have to buy Excel for Mac. And I'm like, really? This is not my day. I don't like it. But we have to filter, and Excel's good at filtering, sort of, but it's good at filtering. Let's talk about benefits, because why am I standing on the stage if I'm not talking about benefits? What if you could get to information quickly? What if you could identify relationships? What if you could see patterns quickly? That's what data visualization does. Playtime again. So I want you, let's see, cheated. Hold on. What I'm going to ask you to do is I'm going to ask you to look at the little pie chart that you did not see. And on the pie chart that you did not see, I want you to read the title quietly to yourself and perform the task. When you're done, look at me, wave your hands, make eye contact. Let me know that you've actually seen what I'm talking about. Okay? So the first one, what sport has the most players? Okay. All right, I'm just going to kind of move on. What sport has the second most players? Okay. What sport has the least players? Okay, isn't this fun? That's why you came here. It taxed your brain, I know. Let's have some more fun. What sport has the least players? Second most. Most players. Interesting exercise, wasn't it? How long did it take you guys to go to the pie chart and say, oh, this is a correct answer? When I first did this exercise, I'm timing myself and I'm like, my IQ is not this low. I can do this, right? How much cleaner is that? Now that's still not 100% clean. I'll give you another example later. Our brains, even if you give someone proper data, and if you give them the best data in data visualization you can possibly give them, how you give it to them matters. Because if they can't see and interpret, and here's why you stayed today. If you can't make a decision or take action on data, what are you doing? What's the point? Otherwise, Excel just happened to spit out a nice little pie for you. No one cares. And that's the point with data visualization. If it sits in a corner by itself, all alone, if it sits there and it's not shared, if it's in your little Excel spreadsheet, on a little CSV, it doesn't matter. It's not moving. It's not actionable. And that's a lesson in terms of data. Not every piece of data is necessarily actionable. It's your job in your context to figure out what is actionable and to say, hey, I can make a decision on this piece of data. Let's keep going. We'll talk about roles in a little bit, but here's why I think a lot of us, when we think about data visualization, we get a little over our heads. We think, I have all this data, but how do I tell the story? How do I tell a story so that I don't end up with a pie chart in someone's face and they're like, I don't know what you mean. What do you want me to do? There are different types of charts and graphs to help you tell your data story better. Read those, right? Let's look at some examples. I can see a date. April 15th has the most on the close date. Simple, isn't it? Title, my close date. Very clean, very neat. Remember when I said that little bar chart was a little messy before? This is why. It had, in the center, it had the long. Right? Here, stacked. So I can go 1, 2, 3, 4. I know exactly the order from the greatest to the least in less than a second. Or maybe a second and a half if you're really counting. There's a line. Now, let's say you're in community affairs. And let's say you're looking at development, housing development. Would you want to know if there's a housing crisis before it happens? Would you want to know if there's one? Have you ever been to the Bay Area? There's a housing crisis. Now, what if in the Bay Area they had said 20, 30 years ago, oh, there's going to be a housing crisis? Maybe 30 years ago. Do you think they would actually say there's a housing crisis, what can we do about it? Well, maybe they could have, I don't know, implemented better transportation. Maybe they could, I don't know what they can do, but don't build in San Francisco is what I'm saying. But if you're thinking about this, what can your data tell you? It can also tell you, before you get up here, what's this trend telling me? What's this decision point telling me? It's telling me something is going up. Pay attention to what's going up, because it may end up to bite you. It's supposed to click, it does click. Scatter plot. This is a fun one. How many of you here work with agencies with call centers? Or you know of an agency? That's a lot of hands. Okay. So in your call centers, are you measuring customer happiness, customer satisfaction? You're probably measuring some of those things. How quickly someone responds to a call. What are the most commonly asked questions to the call? This is something that can help you, because then you can say, oh, I need to put more resources here. I need to put more resources here. I'll give you an example. Let's say your job is to collect child support payments. That's your job. Now, there are different ways to do that, but part of what goes into collecting those payments is people are going to have questions. Where do they get those questions answered? Do you want me to call someone, or can I go to a website and find the answers? What I'm asking you to do is think about how people are using your data, accessing your data, and then taking that load off your resources, so you don't have to sit there and say, oh, I need to put more resources. Well, maybe that resource is actually an electronic one, or a property you already have. The bullet, I like the bullet. It tells me how close I am to the finish line. That's all this is. Very simple. We actually use this in our project management. How close are we to getting to our final goal? Not as common as you think. I see some faces kind of trying to take this in. This is where I am. This is my goal. So I know I'm in the green. I'm close to it. If I'm in the red, I have a problem. If I'm in yellow, still not happy. I want to get to the green goal as possible. The composition of something. We talked about project management before, and if I'm a project manager, I'm not, thankfully. We actually have a great one, so you guys are lucky. If we have a project manager who looks at resources, resource allocation. If I'm a project manager, I have to know where my resources are going. I can't stack up projects and then say to the agency, I'm sorry, we don't have anything for you. We don't have enough people for you. This helps me see the parts of a whole. The parts to a whole project. The parts to a whole program. How many of you can see this pie clearly? No, you can't. I'm beating up on pies today. I get it. I'm beating up on pies. It's okay. It's difficult to read, isn't it? So this is an example of what not to do. I can't read this. I have to interpret. Make it simple. Put your percents in here. Put my grid down here. And if you have to say a little bit more, put it in that grid. Don't make me read and squint. I have glasses on. I can't afford to do that. The stack bar, again, parts of a whole. I'm clicking. Area. Area, again, parts of the whole. So these are just different ways you can share that story of what are the parts of the whole. And I want you to think about something for a minute. Think about, and this is a waterfall. Waterfall is great because you have the cost of something across categories. Think about the categories where you spend money. It's kind of in your head. Tick them off. Where do we spend money? If you can't tick them off, that may be an issue. But kind of think of where is this revenue going? If you saw something like this and you have a projection, we have to cut our budget by X percent, or we're growing by X percent. You can take two waterfalls, put them side by side, and you could say, okay, I need to, let's say 850, I need to bounce that up to 1,000. What would I have to do to get there? Those then business goals, you can reach your business goals by that calculation. So you may have to do some tweaking. I like the waterfall. The funnel, it's okay. I'm not a fan of it. You can see, somewhat difficult to read. But again, it's giving you another idea of parts of the whole. Distribution of data. If you're a content manager, one of the things you need to know is who's using your site and how they're using it. With the distribution of data, I know who's using my site, where they're coming to, where they're going from. I can see in my analytics. My analytics tells me this. I scatter. I can talk about trends. And one of my favorite is a dual access line. And I'll show you why. Here I'm able to see movement across, up here, sum of revenue, and then my records. So I'm able to see, okay, I've had revenue growth. I've also had growth here. Now this is both in a positive kind of chart. However, If something happens and you notice there is a dip right there, I want to look in that dip. What happened in November of 14? Customers were created. What happened? I start to have questions. Again, if I have a call center, people calling me, I have a dip here. Why did this happen? I need to know. I cannot assume that's a one-time event. In your data, we'll assume there's an error in it, number one. And number two, if you see something like this, look at it, investigate it. Don't just say, oh, that just is a little dip because the holidays or Christmas was there or there was something that happened. Dig into the data. Relationships between. So this is how you show something that has a positive effect or negative effect. Bubble. We all like our bubble charts. Now you see how simple this bubble chart is? It really has male and female, very simple. The more bubbles you get, the harder it is to read. And the harder it is to read, the harder it is to interpret. So I'm able to see the hours spent online and age. Your heat map does the same thing. Your eyes are drawn to the square. So this is particularly useful if you see how many lines you have here and lines you have here, more complicated. You can use the heat map to show that complication so that you're not having to try to interpret too much. Let's talk about your role. No matter if you're in IT, you're a web administrator, you're a content director, community affairs, operations, risk management, no matter what your title is, you have to communicate with your audience. And that audience is internal or external. Think about both your audiences. All of us, regardless of our job title, have to look at risk. Now, as solutions architect, risk is a part of it, a part of that job. What's also a part of that job is, even if I didn't have that job title, is what's the risk? I have to be thinking about that. What's the risk if this program goes down? What's the risk if my agency cannot fulfill its vision? We don't like to think that way because that means, oh, I have to do something. It doesn't make us, oh, don't do that. It doesn't make us feel good, does it? When we think about risk. But I want you to, in your role, think about what if this fails? We talk about success, but we need to study success and failure. Go back. Part of us are also in, how many of you are content administrators? You just raise your hands high, I can't really see up here. It's a lot of you. So what this also does is, if you're a content administrator, you have to be able to see where content is moving and how it's moving. Again, online, using your analytics. Can you use your analytics to know exactly what's important to my agency? What's important to the people who are searching on the site? If I know it's important to the people who are searching on the site, I need to make that prominent. What I don't need to do is bury that in maybe an FAQ page or put it somewhere in the back. Even if they're saying something that says, oh, agency wants to emphasize this, what are your users saying? What are they telling you? Because they'll tell you. Let's look at some things, some of our user stories. What have we done? Recognize this? It's back. It never goes away. Can anyone tell me what's an E2? You can probably see it, right? 192. What does 192 mean? No idea. When I saw this, I was like, this is great. What does it mean? Someone actually sent part of this to me, right? No idea. So you know it's a school idea. I like that. There you go. Now this has a little more context, right? I can see there's a grade. I'm still not sure what it means, though. I'm still not really sure. A little more clarity, right? So you're going from Excel, putting something on the website, you have some text. Now I can graphically see it. What happened to your brain when you did that? You saw something in a cell and you're like, I think I know what it is. Someone said school ID because they either know the material or they saw the column. This is now useful. Why is it useful? I can now take action on this. Let's say I have a kid. I just moved here to Georgia. I have a child. What if I want to put that child in the school? Do I want to put that child in that school? Where I'm moving to? I want to be able to compare. How is North Atlanta High School compared to the state of Georgia? And I may have other criteria I want to look at. Now, this is education as an example. Think about your agency. Who uses your information? How do they use it? Would something like this actually help your people make decisions, internally or externally? Remember, this does not have to be external facing. It can be internal as well. Here's another example. Camp South Fulton Academy. Have your demographic. Lunches. Gives you an interesting overview of this type of school. Again, actionable. I can make a decision. Do I want to send my child here? This is my jurisdiction, right? A couple more of these. This is a reading level. If I have a child, I want my kid to be in a school with a high reading level, don't I? Would you want your child in a school with a low reading level? No, you wouldn't. Absolutely would not. You want that child to excel. So you're looking for, at the top, how far can I get to that high number? Favorite part is input and output. Garbage in is garbage out. There's no way around it. If your data is dirty, if your data is not clean, if you have not taken the time to actually go through your data with purpose and with thought thoroughly, what's going in there? And then how are you making your decisions based off that data? Can you make good decisions if your data is dirty? It's very difficult to do. Bad data. I'm not a fan of bad data. Bad data is bad decisions. Incorrect data. Let's say I have that wonderful Excel spreadsheet we all know and love, and let's say instead of a 7 in that column, there's a 2. Well, that's incorrect. How would I know that unless I go through it? Is anything wrong with this? Is Boston okay? Boston looks good, right? CA stands for California, right? Both of these are correct. But they're not accurate. Just because you have data in one field and you put it in another field, when you combine that data, doesn't mean that data that's combined is actually accurate. So when you're looking at your data, make sure that when you're combining it, what's A plus B? Is it C or is it AB? So know what that output is. And here's the thing, write it down. Even if you agree on it, write it down. There are not 36 months. That's an awkward sentence, isn't it? There are no 36 months in a year. How many months in a year are there? You know this. Come on. How many months are in a year? 12. There are 12 months in a year. I guarantee you, actually had, before I came here, client on a mobile app decides to put 13, 14. They're like, well, nobody's going to put that. There's like a little test. And here's the thing. Exactly. Here's the thing. If you put something in a test, assume it's going to a live environment. So if you have an application, don't say, oh, we're just putting pretend in here and see what happens. Make that data as real as possible and see what that output is. Because I guarantee you there's going to be someone who says, oh, 13. And you're going to look at that and you're going to say, my data does not make sense. I have a problem. Retirement age. What if your agency has a specific retirement age? Maybe it's 55, maybe 65. And what if you say, oh, well, so-and-so can collect because of a circumstance? Do you know that? Is that written down? How is the next person going to know that? Who can spot what the problem is here? They're all Karlinskys. There's a Mary and a Maria and a Mary. Which one's right? You have no idea. Which customer was it? I don't know. Who called back? One of these. Right? You work in a call center long enough, you know this stuff. Basic information across departments. One department may have Maria Karlinsky. Somebody else has Mary. Well, they're both M's and Karlinskys. It's close enough. Data is not close enough. It's either right, it's wrong. Take your pick. Apophenia. Who knows what this is? And not the front row because you saw it, except you didn't see it. Nobody? Apophenia is, I'm going to tell you in a minute. I click a lot here. Who can tell me what this is? face. How many say it's a face, right? You have faces. Example of apophenia. One person said rock. I think you said rock, didn't you? You said rock. They've been here before, I don't know. Rock. It's exactly what it is. Our brains love to see patterns. Our brains love to make connections when there is no connection there. That's why when you're making decisions, it's in a business context, and it's not like, oh, that's a pattern. Step back and evaluate. Is this a pattern? Here's my goal. Here's what that input is. How is this a pattern? So that you're not tricking your brain into a solution that's not there. Actually, it's a rock formation in France. False positive. I think I see something there. Oh, no, you don't. Now, this is what kills you. Not being able to see a pattern when pattern is there. Here's when that happens. If you have an agency, you have someone who comes on board, they haven't been at their job a long time. Maybe their job title is a little young. They haven't been in that role for a long time. They may not see the patterns. So you have to help them see the patterns. Let's build a solution. Data walls. Data walls are those obstacles that most of the time we create. Most of the time we create those data walls. And we do it because we ignore what good data looks like. We try to cram a whole bunch of data in and show it to someone, and they don't care, and they can't make an action or decision off it. What we do, Georgia Gov Interactive, is we look at your data. We look at the quality, and that data visualization is there, part of our platform. This is what you can do. I want you to think about the data you have. Think about who uses it. Think about what's on your site. Think about what's not on your site, but it's kind of hidden. What we can help you with is, I want to make this clear, not all data is public. Maybe there's technical issues. Maybe there's legal issues. You can't always show all the data you have to the world. I get that. But you can show it internally to help you make better decisions. That's the key. See the data, look for the data around you. Start to spot it. On my website, here are some PDFs. In the back, we have all these Excel spreadsheets. What if we did this with it? And start sharing, internally and externally. Level up, of course. Most companies, most agencies, when they start with their data, the data is uncontrolled, it's dirty, and there's no process in place. That's the initial level. Where you want to go is optimized. And optimized is continuous improvement. It's a lean term, you've probably heard it, but continuous improvement, where I'm able to take the data I have and say, let me make better decisions for my agency. Let me keep making better decisions for my agency. Thank you very much.